Well, hello guys, and welcome to today's video. In today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you my brand new Black Ops 6 Season 1 Reloaded best settings and my overall just Black Ops 6 best settings. And the reason for making this video is there has been some changes to how sensitivities and stuff works in Black Ops 6 here in Season 1 Reloaded. So I'm going to get into it, talk about it right now, and share with you my brand new Black Ops 6 Season 1 Reloaded settings. And you guys are going to see right off the bat that something has changed. But first off, let's get into it. Let's talk about the controller. Of course, these are controller settings I'm going to be sharing with you. And let's get into it. Edit button layout. First of all, put it on tactical. Reason for this, you change your stance, slide, dive to your right stick and your B stick to melee. The reason for that being you want to be sliding, you want to be doing your sprint, slide to sprint, etc. You want to be slide canceling, etc. You're going to want it on your right stick for when you're clicking in. And meleeing isn't too important in this game. Of course, you can do the assassination stuff and that, but it's not too important. So I'd swap these around, have B be your melee and have your right stick be sliding and changing your stance, diving, etc. Next up, stick layout preset, leave it on default. Next up, this is an important setting that has massively changed. We have lost the 1 to 20 sensitivities, so you need to listen up, guys. I'm going to post an image on the screen right now of what this new setting actually means, but this is now labeled between 0 and 4. All the way down, you can go straight down to 0, well, 0.10, sorry. That's the lowest you can go. All the way up to 4.00. And like I said, I'm going to post it on your screen here, but this is the new sensitivity values. This is what this should mean. This should mean that 1 is 0.6, 2 is 0.8, 3 is 1.0, 4 is 1.2, 5 is 1.4, 6 is 1.6, 7 is 1.8, 8 is 1.9, 9 is 2.0, 10 is 2.1, 11 is 2.2, 12 is 2.4. It's not very consistent, but as you can see from the little diagram there, that is what these old values will mean in these new values. So I've personally went with 1.50. It's what's felt comfortable to me. This did actually default to me to 1.40. So for some of you, this might have changed your sensitivity incorrectly because it was supposed to change it to the sensitivity you had before in this new diagram. So for me, it should have been at 1.6 as far as what it was labeled at. But when I actually loaded up the game, it was at 1.40. Meaning that my sensitivity was 5.5. But if you go to my previous video, you will see that I actually was running a 6.6 sensitivity. So I went with 1.50 because as you can see from the graph, between 1.4 and 1.6 is kind of a new sensitivity. So 1.5 is kind of that balance between 5.5 and 6.6. So I'm testing it right now. It seems to be working well. It seems to be a lot better for me. So I went with 1.50. So I'd recommend for any of you between 1.40 and 1.90. That's where you should be. If you're one of those crazy kids who wants to play on 2020, well, you're not a 2020 kid anymore. You are a 4.0 kid now. So that is the vertical and horizontal sensitivity. This might change over time depending on if there's been more drastic changes that are not very obvious yet. But so far, I'm rocking 1.50, and I think anywhere between 1.40 and 1.90 is what you guys should be going with, as that is basically a 5.5 or an 8.8 in between those values. So yes, very important change there. Make sure you get this correct. All of this stuff doesn't matter, have it all off. This you can actually use if you're on PlayStation especially. I believe swapping the triggers around is actually quite useful. On Xbox, I personally wouldn't recommend this if you're using an Xbox controller. Controller vibration, have this off. You do not want the controller shaking around your hand whilst you're playing. I've said this in many different videos now. You don't need it shaking around your hand. It's not going to help you aim and be more precise. Dead zone inputs, of course, this is going to depend on whether your controller has a lot of stick drift and not so much stick drift. My controller doesn't have a lot of stick drift, so I've got left stick min on 2, left stick max 99, right stick min on 5. Now, yes, I could probably have this lower, actually. I could probably have this on 2 or 3. However, controllers, most controllers, some actually have certain special analog sticks that mean they don't develop stick drift, like at all. So you can have it on low as much as you want. But for those controllers that do eventually develop stick drift, you want to have this on 5, because if you have this on 2 and you eventually start seeing stick drift, you're going to have to bump it up to 3. It's going to affect how you aim. Then you have to bump it up to 4, and it's going to affect how you aim. So to keep it nice and consistent, and to learn a sensitivity that isn't going to feel different, over time, just have it on 5. I believe right stick min 5 is the best and is what you should use, even if you can use it lower if you have a controller with not so much stick drift. Right stick max as well, 99. Left trigger and right trigger 0, because you want the trigger to be hitting instantly. So when you're firing, when you're aiming down sight, you want it to be happening instantly. Next up, aiming, sensitivity, multiplayer, got these all set to 1. You can change these if you really want to, but I personally don't think that you should. Aiming advanced settings. Now, these are quite important because you've got your looking version, which isn't that important. You can leave that alone. ADS sensitivity transition time, I believe this should be instant anyway, but change it to instant if you haven't already. This doesn't matter. I don't think there's many modes, if any, that you play third person in this game, besides maybe zombies, but that's not too important for multiplayer. Aim response curve type, I've got it on dynamic. It's the best. I'd say between dynamic and linear this year. I don't think standard really has a place, to be honest. I think dynamic and linear is quite good. However, I've also got this. This is some secret sauce right here. Dynamic with 0.63 is the absolute best, in my opinion. Like, you 100% should be using dynamic 0.63. And if you don't find 0.63 to be relevant to you, just mess around with a little bit. Change it by 0.05 increments. So, you know, change it to 0.60. And if that doesn't work, change it to 0.65. And if you don't like that, change it to 0.70. This will make your aim more refined. It just makes it feel a lot better. Definitely start messing with this saying. But for me, I went with 0.63 and would highly recommend this. Custom sensitivity with zoom. If you want to do this for like sniping and stuff, then go ahead. I personally haven't. I feel okay, you know, just sniping in general. Target aim assist. Do I really need to tell you this to turn this on? I mean, aim assist is quite overpowered in Call of Duty. If you're not using this, what are you doing? You're playing with a handicap. Next up, sprint assist on, but most people have these settings on. Do not have these on, okay? In this game, getting caught sprinting is so detrimental into a gunfight. You will not win a gunfight if you are caught sprinting in this game. It's just, even though the game's quite fast-paced, there isn't much you could do when you're caught in a sprint. You will get killed if you get caught in a sprint, so do not have these on. It is not useful, and I'd highly recommend having these off. But have your sprint assist delay off, well, to 0, so that there's no delay when you're trying to sprint around the map when you need to. Mantle assist, have it completely off. Do not want to be mantling whatsoever. Crouch assist, off. Don't have this on at all. Corner slice, again, I've left it on. It hasn't really done too much for me, but I've noticed it hasn't really done too much at all. So it says it does not affect your aim, but you know, there's no noticeable difference. Slide dive behavior. If you want to be slide cancelling instantly and having the best response time when it comes to slide cancelling, hybrid is what you're going to be wanting. You can also change this to short by like, oh, hold on. You can change this to short by doing this. So you can change it to like, I think it's tap to dive and then change it to short, which is what I did, and then changed it back to hybrid just to make sure that this has absolutely no delay when trying to slide and dive, because slide cancelling is quite important and diving is useful in certain moments, but not always. I'd say slide cancelling is the thing that you definitely need. The automatic airborne mantle I've left off. Don't want to be accidentally mantling things in the middle of a gunfight. Sprint restore I've got off. Slide maintain sprint on. Parachute behavior, mantling, not too important there. This is important though. Movement advanced settings, I've got this on toggle off. Grounded mantle on, so that you can, you know, mant when jumping. Single tap run. You can go with single tap sprint or single tap run. I personally go with single tap run. Whatever you do, change it from double tap, just because you're going to save your controller's lifespan and be able to activate your tac sprint or sprinting quicker without actually, you know, damaging your controller. If you're having to double tap, you're going to eventually damage your left stick, and you're going to create stick drift, which you do not want. Plunging underwater trigger and sprinting door bash on. Vehicle behavior is not too important at all. Combat, you got hold, ADS plus melee for a weapon mount. I'll be honest, I haven't weapon mounted once in this game. I don't find it useful whatsoever. It might be useful for Warzone, but personally in multiplayer, this has not been useful at all this year. I'd recommend just having it on ADS plus melee. So it's there to be used, but again, it's not very useful in this game. Dedicated melee weapon activation, hold for melee, prioritize body shield, because obviously I want to do the body shield. It's up to you if you want to do finisher moves and stuff, but body shield is quite fun in this game. Armor plates, don't really too matter, you know, we're playing multiplayer here. And then combat, again, nothing too crazy here. Don't change this setting, by the way, the ADS stick swap. Do not do that. And overlay advanced settings, again, nothing too crazy there either for the combat. We're going to be moving on, though, because this is also very important. One is the graphics, okay? This makes a big difference to how you aim and how it feels, so make sure you're getting this correct too. 120 Hz, which is 120 FPS. If you have a monitor and a console that's capable of this, definitely have this on. You want to be playing at 120 Hz and 120 FPS. And if you can't right now because you're limited to 60 FPS by either your console or your monitor, then definitely change it, okay? I highly recommend trying to get a monitor and a console that plays at 120 Hz nowadays. The difference between 60 Hz and 120 Hz is huge. Like, it is such a big difference. It's almost, how would I put it, like a handicap now playing at 60 Hz. Like, you want to be playing at 120 Hz nowadays. Gamma plus brightness, this is going to be dependent on like your monitor's brightness and stuff, so this is going to be different for every person, but just make sure you've got 1 at not visible, 2 at barely visible, and 3 at easily visible, which for me is 47. Eco mode preset, just to make my Xbox not sound like it's going to explode when it's in the menus. This will not affect your gameplay. You won't feel, you know, you won't have more delay or less powerful, you know, gameplay, etc. It's not going to do that. Don't worry about that. Trust me. World motion blur, weapon motion blur, depth field all off, fidelity cast on, but I'd only set it to 80 because the higher you set this, the more input delay you actually get. But I feel like you need this setting on to be able to visually see things in this game. And you could have it off if you want the like as minimum input delay as possible. But I do think the game looks a lot worse without it. So definitely have it on and set it to around, I'd say, between 60 and 80. Don't go all the way to 100 because you will experience more input delay doing so. On-demand texture streaming, unfortunately, this setting still exists. I don't know why. I wish it didn't. But set it to minimal, auto, and 1. This will stop you from having any issues when playing Black Ops 6, such as like getting packet burst, more delay, lag, etc. You don't want that to be happening, so have this set to minimal. View, have this off. Field of view, this is very important. This is going to affect how you aim and how your sensitivity feels, so make sure you're getting this right. Anywhere between 95 and 105 is what I feel you should be working with. I went with affected as well and wide, but I've also, like I said, maintained it to 103 just because that is the perfect field of view for me. I'd say anywhere, again, 95 to 105, but 102 and 103 is around the sweet spot in this game, so I definitely recommend one of the two. And again, weapon field of view wide. The reason for this being, it doesn't give you less recoil. Okay, I want to make that very perfectly clear. It does not give you less recoil, but it does give you less visual recoil. So it makes the weapon look like it doesn't have as much recoil as it actually does. So yes, 100% set this to wide. That doesn't matter too much. And then this, you don't want the camera shaking around whilst you're trying to aim and shoot and stuff. So have these set to least, which is 50%, the least you can do. This doesn't matter too much. An inverted flashbang is more of a preference setting there. And then finally, audio. Now, audio is pretty good in this game regardless. I don't really think the settings matter too much, but I've set it to 100, 0, 30, 100 if you want to copy that down. Enhanced headphone mode I'm using. This, which I believe is the thing you pay for. Do not pay for it, okay? I don't care if it gives you an advantage. Just don't pay for it. Don't be that guy. Audio mix, headphone bass boost. I think that's personally the best. Some people are saying sucker punch, but I don't personally see the difference or the boost from it. So headphone bass boost is what I went with. Mono audio, it's up to you. I've muted the licensed music for copyright reasons, of course, but you guys can have that on if you want to. Again, you can do this as well. I haven't messed with this, and I probably should have. This could possibly, make your sound settings a lot better than what they actually are. So feel free to mess around if you want to. I've personally left it alone. I don't really want to mess it up too much. Reduce tinnitus sound on, and the hit marker preset I've got on default. But you can have it on classic or none and change it. Voice chat, nothing too crazy here. Just make sure you can hear those people in case you're making people rage, of course. And then finally, interface. This is important because, one, you want to see if you're lagging or not. So server latency have on and packet loss have on. You can have the clock on as well if you want to know what the time is. And readability, nothing too crazy here except for the color customization. You want to change your HUD color palette. Now you can change this here. It doesn't matter to really too much. You can change to what you want to. You can have yourself set to blue, your team to green, party to blue, enemy to red. There's the standard. You can change it if you want to. But this is the important part. Change your color filter to 2, change it to both, and then increase your world color intensity and interface color intensity to 100E. This will make your game more visually appealing. You'll be able to spot people better. It would just look better regardless. And I think most of you have seen from my gameplays that the game does look visually better with this set. So 100% change that. Safe area, set this to as minimum as possible. I'm sure some of you might have it like this, where you've got it set all the way out to its max. Do not do that. The reason you want it set to the minimum as possible is this brings your minimap closer to the center of the screen, and it stops you from having to look all the way up to the top left to look at your minimap, and then not be able to look at the center of your screen and see if there's an enemy on your screen whilst you're looking at the minimap for obviously those red dots and where your teammates are spawning, etc. So have your safe area set to as minimum as possible so you can see the minimap closer to the center of your screen. Minimap shape should be on square. If not, make sure it's on square. You get, as you can see, a bigger minimap there than circle, so 100% have it on square. Minimap rotation on. Radar, have this off. The last time I turned this on, this actually broke the minimap, so do not have that on. Compass type, have this off. Vehicle HUD presets don't matter. In-game text chat is up to you. Crosshair, you can change this, customize this, make it look pretty, do what you want. Most people, I think, have went with cyan in this game, but I've personally went with green. I find green to be quite good, even though I know there's grass textures and stuff. I seem to spot green quite well compared to cyan, so it's up to you what you want to change that to, but make sure it's a color that you can see across all the backgrounds. Whatever color looks more visually appealing for you. Have your crosshair spread on, and then the center dot scale, definitely have it on and have it on default. Definitely, it's quite useful for, having good centering and making sure you got your crosshairs placed in the right spot for when enemies come around the corner, etc. And then widget visibility doesn't really matter too much, nothing too crazy there. But that is it. That is the Black Ops 6 Season 1 Reloaded best settings. a new change to the game when it comes to sensitivity. Going to be a big one. We're going to see how this goes over time. But I'm personally rocking with, I believe, what was it, 1.50. And it seems to be doing okay for me. It seems to be the new between 5.5 and 6.6, which is quite nice. I kind of like that. But yeah, use that graph. Make sure you get in the correct setting for yourself, because this setting might have changed to the wrong setting for you here in Black Ops 6 Season 1 Reloaded. So you might feel your sensitivity is feeling different. Make sure you check in that setting is set to the correct sensitivity setting. But I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you did, leave a comment, leave a like, subscribe, notifications on. I'll catch you guys in the next video. Goodbye.